Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. Here is your host, Andy Ruther.
Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. That is me, Andy Ruther, coming to you from my home in Cincinnati, Ohio. Here we are, guys. Christmas in a week. 'Tis the time. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Dude, if I have to hear that song one more time. My daughter is obsessed. Obsessed. I've had to play it on loop driving to and from daycare 3 straight days now. On loop. Every time it ends. More. Jingle bells more. And I do it. I just keep playing it. Makes her happy. Maybe I'm a bitch. I don't know. Keeps her happy. But nonstop. And it's under 2-minute song. So do the math on that. It takes about 10 minutes to get to daycare. So we're playing it 5 to 6 times, roughly, to and from. It's going to mess up my Spotify Wrapped for 2025. No, that wouldn't count, right? Because we're in 2024. Which, by the way, Spotify Wrapped didn't list any of the kids' songs I play in the car, which I find very interesting. Because my number one song and even my top 5 songs should be the crap she wants to hear. You figure I'm in the car with her probably majority of the time since I'm taking her to and from daycare 5 days a week, and then you throw in the weekend. So I usually play stuff she likes. That's what I usually do. Whether it's kids songs like Coco Melon or the holiday stuff now, I usually play that. None of that made my top 5 on Spotify. It's almost like Spotify knew. They're like, we're not putting Old MacDonald Had a Farm in his top 5. That's not his top 5. Even though he's played it 400 times this year, that's not his real top 5. I don't understand it though. Like, how did those not make the list? He didn't. But she loves that stuff. So I play it for her. That's what I do. Brittany hates it. When we drive as a family, she'll be like, don't play that crap. Because ultimately it probably doesn't even matter, is the truth. But she's real into the holiday spirit, which is cool. Love seeing that. Love seeing how excited she is for Christmas. She's going to be geeked when she sees this little, what am I wearing? May your Christmas be meowy and bright. That's the ugly Christmas sweater today. Technically a sweatshirt, but that's what I'm rocking today. My niece gave this to me, I think 4 years ago. So she'll love this because it has cats on it. But it's a week away, man. If we make it, guys, what's up with these drones? What's up with the drones? What is it? Is it aliens? Is it our government doing defense stuff? Are they searching for nuclear weapons? What is it? Is it a giant psyop? Is that what they call it? Psyop? I don't know, but I don't trust. You guys are probably like me. I don't trust anything the government is saying. At this point, I just don't trust you guys. The numbers say most people don't. So whatever you say, president or Pentagon or future president or people, I just don't trust you. I don't trust you guys. And you can't lie like you used to. I say this time and time again. We have the internet. We have access to stuff. I don't know what it is. But my brother, he sent a video of a drone that was in his area last night when he was taking his dog for a walk around 10 p.m. And maybe there was a lot of drones and now we're just aware of it. I also think a lot of times there's planes and people just think it's drones now. But to me, there's always something deeper. They trying to get something over us, but, you know, it's like how I do with my daughter, like, she wants to do something that I don't wanna do, and I'll be like, "Go look at your Mickey Mouse stuffed animal," and then boom, she does that. So I don't know. I don't trust it, though. I don't trust it. I've paid attention a fair amount. You hear all these different things. You don't know what to believe. Maybe that's what they want. All I want is transparency in life, guys. That's all I want. Can you just tell us if you're doing any sort of defense operations or training or testing things out? Why can't you just tell us? Do you think people are going to be in mass hysteria? Yeah, they probably would. And we all saw what happened during the pandemic. People turning into lunatics to hoard up on toilet paper and paper towels. I was at Costco when that stuff started. It was bananas. Absolute bonkers. People freak out. People freak out easily. So maybe that's why they don't want to say anything, but I just want to hear the truth. That's all I want. You can't handle the truth. Yes, I can. I can handle it. Give it to me. Give me the truth. Or as they say in the hood, truth. Truth and earth. Oh man, that's all I want, guys. I just want to know what's going on. I do enjoy the memes though, and some of the funny tweets. Somebody had a great one saying this is part of Toyotathon. Ah, I don't know, man. We live in wild times. We gotta just embrace it. There's always so much going on. We live in just stupid times, but I'm excited for Christmas. I'm excited to have my first Christmas with a little girl who can finally appreciate it. Santa, the whole 9 yards. We'll do it up. We'll do it up. But today is it's an important day in my family. It's my parents' anniversary, so I'm gonna tip my synergy. What is it? Synergy kombucha, whatever this is. It's my parents. Rest in peace. They got married in 1971, so today would be their 53rd wedding anniversary. So pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. When they died in 2020, that would have been the year of their 49th. A lot of years together, man. A lot of years. I'm sure they saw so many things in those years. I like that I have the wedding book. It's actually here. My parents' wedding album, it's here. My mom's wedding dress is here too. I put it on from time to time, look at myself in the mirror. I don't do that. It'd be really weird if I did that, didn't it? Wouldn't it? By the way, what am I doing with this? What am I doing with the wedding dress, guys? What am I supposed to do with that? I ended up with so much of this crap, and I don't want to say crap, but I ended up with so much of it. My brothers didn't want it, but I wasn't just going to get rid of my mother's wedding dress. It's just sitting in storage. I mean, what's going to happen? Is it going to end up in a museum one day? I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with some of this stuff, but I can't just get rid of it. Or should I? No, I can't get rid of my mom's wedding dress. But like it's tailored for her. So it's not like a ring that you can get resized and then somebody can end up using that ring someday. I don't know. Maybe they can use parts of it. I don't know. But I have that here. I have the wedding album here. I think there was a fight at my parents' wedding actually, which is pretty hilarious. Pretty sure there was a fight. The reception was in Brown County, Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so they got married in Brown County at St. Patrick's Church, middle of the country. My mom grew up in the country. And I guess there was a fight between my country relatives and I think maybe some of my mom's who got in a fight? My country side with maybe I don't think it was my dad's side. Maybe it was some of my mom's friends, guys, some of the city folk. That's what my uncles would always say. You city boys, come and live on a farm, you city boys. They didn't speak like that. I don't know why I turned my uncles into 1920 gangsters. They didn't speak like that at all. Andy, you want to come work on a combine? You're little. You can fit right on that combine, Andy. That's how they'd sound. My one uncle would say that. He's a farmer. He'd say, I'll put you right on the combine. You can fit. You're small. But I guess they got in a fight. I don't know what it was over. That's some redneck white trash shit, though, isn't it? We actually have an ongoing debate in my family. We've had it since my mom died. Which side is more white trash? Like, which side of my family is more white trash? My mom's side, which is, farmers. My dad's side, which is west side of Cincinnati, which is there's a lot of white trash in west side Cincinnati. So we'll like debate as brothers, and we'll be like, well, this person did this, and then this person did that. Like it's a battle. Who's got more white trash on their side? And the reason that started is because my dad would always make like after my mom died, my dad would say wild stuff about my mom's family. It's like he held it in for all those years. He held in like, let me know how you really feel, Dad. Now that mom's gone, let me know how you really feel about her relatives out in the country. So then we started debating amongst brothers. We're like, Dad's saying this and that, but it's like, your side's kind of white trash too, pops. So we have fun with that. You got to have fun with it. The thing I learned through death is if you don't have comedy and humor and lighthearted stuff, it's tough to get through. It's tough to get through. Like if you don't have jokes and ball busting, even in the most serious of situations, if you can't laugh, it's really tough, really difficult. I'll say things still that make my friends cringe, jokes, because I think they get uncomfortable, especially my friends who have their parents. But you got to do that because there's so much heavy stuff that you got to deal with. You got to be able to make jokes. You have to, because it's not easy. But my parents, they were a great role model for me and my brothers, and I think about that today, and I think about when my mom died, I had just never seen that side of my dad, and to me, it showed just they truly were life partners because he was so distraught. I'd never seen my dad like that. I'd never seen my dad cry and cry with the power and emotion that he did for weeks and months, truthfully. It's like he didn't know what to do when my mom died. That's the truth. He just it was sad for me to see. He was a shell of himself, to be fully honest. And I think that was tough, but it also showed me how they truly were great partners for each other. And they had their problems. Everybody has their problems. Everything wasn't always peachy keen in my family. 5 boys. You've been together almost 50 years. You're going to have your ups and your downs. Every relationship has that. But through it all, they were like peanut butter and jelly. They were mano a mano with each other. And when my mom died, I mean, damn, it was tough because I felt helpless. I felt so helpless because my dad was always the person I looked up to to be strong, and suddenly I felt I had to be strong for him. Like, I used to hear him cry through the vent when I was sleeping at my parents' because he'd be in the basement on the computer looking at pictures, and I just hear him sobbing and wake me up, and it fucking crushed me, man. It was tough. It was tough. Like, that first night, we went over, it was been early in the morning after my mom died, we all went over to my brother Greg's, and I stayed there with my dad, and we were probably up till, like, 5 a.m. I forget what time my mom actually passed away. It was either real late before the new day, like 11:30, or the beginning of the next day around, like, midnight or 12:30 a.m. Anyway, so we went over to my brother's, and we were all in the basement, and my dad and I slept on the couch, and he was just crying, man. We were, like, side by side, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, "Man, this sucks." Because here I am trying to deal with losing my own mom, who's my best friend, who was always there for me, and it's the same thing my dad's going through, except, that's his partner for 48, 49 years. That was so tough. That was so tough, and I'd see him like that. I'll never forget after she died and I was home for a few more weeks, he was helpless, like, he didn't even know how to do laundry. For real. I mean, it was different, like, my mom did all that stuff. He didn't do that stuff. I had to teach my dad how to do laundry. He had to change the sheets, and I was showing him how to use the washer and dryer, and he's like, "I haven't done this since my army days, since I was in the army." And I remember it was so powerful for me, and it was so raw that when we were putting the sheets on the bed, I walked out of the room for a second because I had to cry, because I just felt so sorry for him that he needed me to help him put the sheets on the bed, and that I knew he'd be sleeping in that bed alone. That's tough. That's real tough when you lose that. So, not to make it, a downer, because today is a celebration of their marriage, but my point of all this was just they had such a powerful, great relationship at the end of the day. And there's a part of me that says maybe it's better they died within 8 months of each other. Death is never good, but I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's better. It's just I don't know how much he could have recovered. And the stats are crazy if you guys look it up. I don't have it in front of me, but the stats are when you've been together with somebody so long, and then when one spouse dies, the percentage of that other spouse dying within the next, I think, like 18 to 24 months, that percentage skyrockets because it's real. Your will to live greatly decreases because you've lost the partner in your life. And that stuff's real. On a smaller scale, I think we're kind of going through that without Roscoe here, and especially Brittany at night. Really tough for her not having him in the bed with us. And I get that. I get that a lot. You miss that comfort. It's almost like a comfort pillow. It's your little dog. And not having him sucks. For me, it's tougher during the day. It's more difficult during the day. I miss having him around. Miss checking on him. I miss him sauntering in the room, be like, "What are you up to, cuz?" I love when he would do that. He just saunter in the room like, "What up, cuz?" He just chilling, looking at me like, "Yo, dude, take me out." But she really misses him at night. He was her cuddle buddy for 13 years. So I get that. But It makes you stronger people. Loss is not easy, and you got to go through it. You got to focus on other things. And I think it's good that we're having a kid. February 4th, by the way, guys. I think that's the due date. It's the 4th. Is scheduled for the old C-section. So we are right around the corner. Am I ready for this? We'll see. TBD. At least I know what I'm getting into. I'm trying not to dread it so much. I need to just live it, embrace the no sleep, embrace all this. At least I'll have my little homie, baby girl Isla. So it'll be, I think 2 kids is not easy, but in a way, it's nice to have the 1 kid there. So I will, have her as a little outlet. But yeah, 6 weeks away, man. Isla moved into a new room. Baby room is a work in progress, and about to be a total girl dad times 2. So looking forward to that. And what can you do? You got to take it head on at this point. I'm not getting out of it. I can't return her. Can't give it back. It's not like a car. So not that you can do that either. We saw last week on the show what happens when you try to return a Subaru. Oh man. So yeah, I mean it's soon. It's real soon. So I'm just trying to get in that headspace mentally. Try to get over this because we've all been sick. You can probably tell my voice. Been a little under the weather. This gray beard, man, and all this gray hair. That's in the last few years. That's what these kids do to you. They age you. They turn you gray. Not back in my young California Venice Beach days. Just not a worry. Dude, I didn't have a worry in the world. I mean, I look back on it and what an easy life. What an easy life. No responsibility. Figured out a way to make some money through creative stuff, through podcasting, through content creation, through radio, stand up, whatever it was, the hustle, living by the beach. What an easy life I had. What an easy life. I actually have a call. I have a call about comedy, which I'm going to play. And quick reminder, we do have a hotline here at the Andy Ruther Show, 859-935-0078. That's the hotline. So give a ring. Let's get to this call here.
Andrew, Mr. Andy Ruther, what's going on? It's Ray, Tom's River, New Jersey, fellow dirtball, fellow Rutheran. I guess that's your favorite name. Just wanted to hear you discuss a little bit about comedy, since that was your prior. It's so funny to me, but I know you don't do stand-up as much anymore. What do you think of the comedians, nowadays? My opinion, I think they're trash. I think, especially the Rogan people. I know you talk about Cat Williams a lot. Cat Williams actually made a good point. Like the Rogan 6, trash. Besides Shane Gillis, he's actually pretty funny. But Sam Morril, trash. Mark Norman, I wanted to say kill yourself if you listen to it, but I don't know if you like it or not. Mark Norman, garbage. Andrew Sartino, whatever his name is, the ginger fuck. Oh my, garbage. Not funny. Watch these guys' specials and generally try to laugh. You can't. Bill Burr, solid. Tim Dillon. I mean, podcast is funny, but stand-up sucks. That is weird. Why is his podcast funny, but stand-up's mediocre? So, what do you think about the comedians nowadays? And to follow up on that, if you could delight us with, can you give us your funniest comedic bit of all time, in your opinion? You know what I mean? We would love to hear that. If you can still memorize it, I know you might be rusty, but that'd be great. I would love to hear that. Appreciate it, man. Love the show. Look forward to hopefully you play this call. I'm not sure if you get a lot of calls or not, but hopefully we go 3 for 3. Play my 2 other calls. But appreciate it, Ruther. Take care. God bless.
Thanks for the call, Ray. Appreciate it. Again, 859-935-0078. No, I don't really get many calls. I try to play calls I get, and I'd love to have more calls from you guys, to be perfectly frank. So here's the thing. Well, let's hop into this, because I have a lot to say about what you're saying. One, and you might call me a cop out. I'm not gonna sit here and disc other comics. I'm not gonna drag anybody, because I know how tough it is. And I think especially me being out of the game makes me appreciate it even more. That's the truth. And here's the thing, man, comedy's subjective. So you might not like some of those guys, other people might love them, right? It's the same way with music. You might think Nickelback's great. There are people out there who legit are like, Nickelback is a great band. And there's people like me who say, I can't listen to this, man. So I'm not going to drag some of those guys. And again, you might say that's a cop out, but I'm being honest. Here's what's interesting about the age we live in. You have so many formats to see these guys. And you touched on it with like Tim Dillon on the podcast versus stand up. I do think a lot of people, some are funnier in stand up, some are funnier in podcast, which is fine. They're completely different formats. They're two completely different formats. And I tend to agree. Like, I've watched all Tim Dillon stand-up specials. I prefer him as a podcast host. I think his rants are brilliant. I think he's hilarious. He has me laughing. I like to listen to Tim Dillon's show. He's amazing. I'm also not going to diss him as a stand-up, though. And I know how hard it is, and I think I'd look foolish because I didn't excel in that field, clearly. So I'm not going to diss these guys. Dude, it's a hard gig. Pun intended. The gigs you have. Stand-up comedy is not easy. And here's something else I want to put out to you, Ray. Watching the specials is not nearly the same as seeing these guys live. I think that's something really important to remember. I also struggle with the specials. I don't usually watch that many stand-up comedy specials. I can't tell you how many Brittany and I have started and we didn't finish because we're just like, I'm not into this. So many. Mark Norman was one of them. I think Mark Norman is hilarious on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter. I followed Mark Norman on Twitter for years. I put on a special. It's just not my cup of tea. One-liners is not my cup of tea. And again, that's fine. I'm not dissing him. He's an extremely, extremely good joke writer. He's a great joke writer. He's great at one-liners. That's just not my cup of tea. Shane Gillis, I agree. I can watch his stand-up specials. I laugh. I love his stand-up specials. Bill Burr, love his stand-up specials. Stavros Halkis, Stavi Baby. I enjoy his stuff. He does crowd work. I think he's really funny. I love his Instagram videos. I love his videos as a Ravens fan. My point is there's different mediums to get into these people. So some might be better at social media, some might be better at podcasting, some might be better at stand-up, and some might be great at all of them. You know, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, things we like. Even like Cat Williams. I like Cat. We didn't finish his last special. I've seen Cat live. I think Cat's best special is that Pimp Chronicles. What was it? Part 2, Pimp Chronicles, whatever one came out like early 2000s, maybe 2007, 2008. I believe he's in Atlanta filming that one, the one where he does bits on Michael Jackson. Like, that's my favorite bit. Dave Chappelle, I love. The specials are so much different because you don't have a live, you're not there live, especially when they can riff with the crowd. You know, I talked about seeing Nick Swartzen a couple months ago. I went with my brother and his wife and Brittany, and we loved it. Nick Swartzen was amazing. He was hilarious. And obviously, I have so much experience not only doing this myself, but also seeing so many comedians just from shows I was on. I thought he delivered a great show, 70 minutes. Now, I'm also different. Here's the thing. I am a comedian's good friend because I laugh easily. I laugh easily. But I didn't really laugh at his opener. I wasn't laughing too hard at his opener. But at Nick, I was cracking up the whole show. And dude, here's the thing. You brought up Andrew Santino. I don't know why you said his name wrong. Andrew Santori. Andrew used to be one of my good buddies back in the day. Here's what I'll say about Andrew. I always thought he was hilarious. We started doing shows together like 15 years ago. He used to co-produce this dump of a room in Playa del Rey in Los Angeles called Prince O' Wales. I think I've talked about it before. I mean, it was a hard room. I think it was Thursday nights. It's one of those rooms where it's a bar and people don't know that there's going to be a comedy show, and you're walking on stage just people pissed. Like people don't want to hear you. They don't want you trying to do stand up. They want to be getting drunk. I remember that was a battle, that room that Santino ran. Every time I do it, because it was close by me, he'd give me spots a lot. I just was like, man, is some cholo going to stab me tonight? Like it was that type of room, but it was fun. And here's what I'll say about somebody like Andrew Santino or some of these guys. They are where they're at because they work their ass off. I'm gonna stick up for him. That dude worked his ass off, Andrew Santino. He was always hustling, always working on his stand-up, always trying to get acting work, sketch work. He was doing YouTube before people were doing YouTube. He had this little sketch. What was his character? Duncan. What was his name? Duncan Does It or something. But he had this little sketch he did. Yeah, we used to bum around a lot. We used to do stuff. Santino went on the road with me a few times for Frat Boys of Comedy. And here's what's funny. He would open for me, and now he's a big star. So I only have good things for him to say. You don't have to like him. I always thought he was funny. Now, again, he's another one. I didn't get through his last special. But I bet if I saw Santino live, I'd love it. I know I'd love it. He always made me laugh. I always thought he was funny. He's a total ball buster. We had some fun nights. We did a show up in like 2009 or 2010. We did a show at University of California, Davis. We went to the strip club afterward with a couple of these girls, which was pretty funny. Then we drove home, which probably wasn't a smart idea. Santino drove actually. And then we were so tired, we pulled over. He had to be back for some day job he had. We pulled over in the middle of the freeway so we could sleep for like an hour. This is up in Davis, California, which is NorCal. So it was like a 6+ hour drive, and we pulled over. And he flew out to Virginia Tech. We did a show together at Virginia Tech. We flew from LA to Virginia Tech, and we went hard the night before. I remember waking up in the hotel. Santino was in my bed, and I was on the couch in the hotel, and it had just been pounding. The whole place got pounded with snow, and we were both late, and we were both drunk, and we had to take separate taxis. This is before Ubers to get to the airport, and it was a mess. I was flying through like Roanoke. I was going like Blacksburg, Virginia to take the cab from there to like Roanoke to Atlanta to LA. I think Santino was going through Detroit. I remember texting him when I got home, being like, what happened? But that dude always had confidence too. That dude always had confidence. And I'll give him that. I haven't talked to him in years, but he was always confident. I remember him telling me on one of those trips when we were driving up to his show, he's like, I'm going to make it. I specifically remember him saying that. after we got Arby's. I actually remember that trip. After we got Arby's, he said that. And I think at the time I was like, oh, he's kind of cocky. But he did. Look at him. So again, like I always thought he was funny. The truth is I haven't really listened to his podcast. I haven't really watched his stand-up specials, but I think he's a funny dude. Again, I think a lot of these guys are funny. And obviously I know some of them. Some of them I don't really know that well. It's a tough business, but it's also a business where you can branch out. You know, my thing always was I wanted to make money doing something creative. So once I started getting other opportunities that weren't just stand up, I kind of went towards that. I was never all in on stand up. That's the truth. I was never all in on stand up. And I can acknowledge that. And I knew that at the time. That's the difference between me and some of these other guys that you're naming. They were always in on stand up. They were always getting spots. They were always busting their ass. I wasn't. Once I started getting work, once I started getting creative work in the social media world, and then I got hired to work for Lance Bass on his SiriusXM radio show, I started focusing more on that stuff. Dirty Sports was starting. And that's fine. We all take different paths, right? So I never put the work, I never put the effort enough into stand up. That's the truth. I went the other directions and was like, oh, I can make money this way. Oh, I can get paid as a writer for these social media accounts. Oh, I can do voiceover work for whatever this YouTube channel is. Stuff like that. Because you have to kind of balance it when you're living out there. Anyway, I hope I'm not boring you guys with all this, but that's kind of where I'm at. And even today, it's like I still have freedom, which is great. I have freedom to do what I want. I have freedom. Um, I run some social media accounts, right? And the pay is pretty nice, and I have a lot of creative freedom, and I'll still get to be creative and all those things. And I'm gonna continue to try to develop things of my own. And I actually have a video coming out on YouTube this week. But my point is, I always wanted to kind of follow that stuff. And some of these guys wanted more of the mainstream movies and sitcoms and TV and all that stuff. But Ray, you asked at the end a favorite bit that I have. I don't know if I have one, man. But you did get me opening up my Google Drive. And I'm looking at old bits and bits that I never did. Oh my, dude, you talk about getting canceled. I have hundreds of pages of jokes. Because in a way, you're amassing potential content, and a lot of it is going to be crap. Like 90% of it's going to be crap. Offensive, not funny. And then you kind of weed through that. I mean, I have hundreds of Google Docs. I'm looking at one right now, 2011 old material, 2013. Like, I mean, I'm looking at bits I know I never even said once on stage. I kind of always like to say stuff that might be like piss people off. Like, I used to really like that. Like I used to really like Daniel Tosh, even before he popped with Tosh.0, because he came to my university when I was in school, right when I was starting stand up. And I always liked his comedy, and I thought he was great. And I thought his show was great, and he was a great writer, and he was clever, and he was just a great comic. So you know, those type of people influenced me in Chappelle and Burr. And again, it's so funny seeing these guys who got huge and guys who I liked even before they were like huge. Like even Bill Burr. Like when I moved out to LA in 2007, Bill Burr was a name in the comedy world for sure. And he's a great comic by then already. But I don't think he wasn't too mainstream. I remember the first time I got a spot at the Comedy Store on a bringer show, which meant you have to bring people to get a spot up in the belly room up top. The rule is if you bring 5 people, you can perform. And I did a bringer show, and I definitely didn't bring 5 people. But I remember Bill Burr he was working on some new bits, and he hopped on stage before me. And I remember thinking, "Oh, shit. Bill Burr is gonna perform before me. Like, this guy's a legend." That's how I've already felt in 2007. And he did his 5 minutes, and then he got off, and then he went down to the other 2 rooms at the Comedy Store. But I remember that was, like, a cool moment for me of like, "Oh, here's a guy I've loved the last 3 or 4 years as I got into comedy. He's gonna drop in and do a set right before my set. He's also gonna make me look like a total amateur because he's a pro and I'm a nobody." But things like that are cool experiences that you remember. Again, I know how hard this is, and that's kind of my point. Bill Burr's doing jokes in front of 10 people in the belly room because he knows he has to work on it. He's got to work out the kinks. So I'm never going to be one to be like, "Oh, that guy sucks." No, look, there's people I feel that aren't good, and that's fine. Look, man, I couldn't get through Adam Sandler's special. We put it on. I love Adam Sandler movies. I love Adam Sandler as a person. I think he's great. I think he's funny. He seems like such a chill dude. I know people who know him very well. I've only heard positive, very great things about him. I just wasn't into his special, and that's fine. I wasn't feeling it. It's nothing personal. Again, it's subjective. But I don't have a favorite bit. I don't know if that's kind of a bum answer. Um, I am laughing again looking at some of these bits. I mean, these things are so stupid. I mean, you guys want I'll say some of these. Some of these I've never done on stage. First date sex. I'll just read the headline. This is from like 2013. And again, I'm just reading it. I don't know how I would say it on stage. Girls, can we lose the not going to have sex on the first date rule? Waiting another 48 hours doesn't make you any less slutty. It doesn't matter whether we have sex on the first, second, or even third date. Either way, I'm never going to call you again, and I'm giving you herpes. That's like such an old Andy Ruther type of joke. Of course I wrote that in 2013. Of course I did. I remember laughing about that for a while because girls would be like that. They'd be like, "Not on the first date. We can't have sex on the first date." And I remember always laughing, and I think another idea I had was 2 days later, they show up at your apartment and it dressed as a dominatrix and be like, it's been 48 hours. I brought the anal beads." And you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did 2 days do?" It was one of my things that would make me laugh about women that you couldn't do that on the first date, but by the second date, it was like a scene from Eyes Wide Shut. You're like, anything goes. So that's a bit from 2013. What's another bit I did from 2013? I mean, these show like as I'm looking at this doc, it just shows I'm living that single dating app life. Like this is right when dating apps came out, 2013, and Tinder I mean, I'll just be honest, it was so easy to hook up. It was so easy. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. And I should have been probably doing more stand up. No, but I was just going on Tinder dates. Because at the time I was making money. This is all before Dirty Sports. I was making money through social media, and I was making a good amount of money, and I had money to spend. And you know what I used to do? I don't think I've ever talked about this. So I had all these accounts, and Google used to pay you, and I don't know if they still do. We would use our following. So I had access to like millions of followers through these parody accounts. And you'd create these clickbait websites. I don't think I've ever talked about this. It'd be like a clickbait sports website And then I would write top 10 lists. So it would be like, and especially if you did it with, you use sex appeal. So like top 10 hottest girls with the hottest schools in the SEC. And then I'd rank it in order and you'd write minor descriptions on this. And then you'd have little arrows to click to the next page. But the arrows were actually like to click on an ad. And anytime somebody accidentally clicked on an ad, you were actually tricking them to click on an ad. You get paid. And the payouts were really good at the time. It was like 50 to 60 cents a click. And I had access to millions of followers. So you'd post these articles or you'd retweet these articles and people would fall for this. And some of the people I worked with, we had like a whole little team here in LA, and then some other dudes I worked with on social media. So we were making some good money. It was like for a year we were making good money, and all that shit plummeted the minute people cared more about the ads on the phones because the phones were smaller. They were paying the same click out as the phones as they were on the laptop. And anyway, it changed the algorithm and it changed the pay system. But my point is, I see these jokes that I'm writing at this time, and it shows that I'm just out there partying and like hooking up because it's obvious. Oh, this was a bit that I tried for a while. I see this Pornhub bit. I remember laughing one time, and I tried this on stage a few times. It made me laugh. I remember laughing one time because I would always look at the comments underneath like a video. And the comments under the porn video would make me laugh because I was always like, who are the guys writing comments? Who's taking the time to comment underneath a pornographic video? And there was a comment that I saw in a video with like two chicks hooking up, and it said, "Take off your socks, damn it." And I would act this out on stage. I don't know how many times I did this on stage. And I'd act it out that I'd act out like I was just furiously masturbating. And then he stopped like mid jacking off and he's like, "Why are your socks on?" And then I would like imitate him angrily typing like, "Take off your socks, damn it." And like I would just do stupid stuff like that. I would do stuff that just made me laugh. Which to my own credit is kind of, you don't cater to the audience, you cater to what you know. It's like if I started doing stand up again now, it'd be completely different. I'd be talking about being a dad and raising a little girl and having another girl on the way, and now that I'm gonna be a house with 3 girls, and I'd talk about that and stupid stuff. Stuff I think stupid. And I don't know if I'll get back into it, but that's what I would talk about. I wrote bits. I'll share with you guys a bit. I sure, after my parents died, I started writing bits about death. And I didn't perform, so I never really tried them. Like I had this bit, makes me laugh thinking about it. I had this bit, I'm not even gonna pull it up, but I just remember the gist. The bit was that I was raking leaves because this happened. I was raking leaves in my parents' house and I'm cleaning up the yard. My dad's about 6 weeks removed from dying. I'm like 9 months away from my mom dying. So I'm living in the childhood home I grew up in. In a way, it's depressing. We're trying to figure out what we want to do as brothers with the house. And I'm just living there alone, trying to pick up the pieces with my life, emotionally, pick up the house physically, the whole 9 yards. And I remember I was raking leaves, and it was a fall day. And I was raking leaves, and I just started crying because I just missed my parents so much. And I was thinking about my dad and how much he enjoyed doing yard work. And I was just bawling, like just really bawling in the yard. And the neighbors didn't really know me because they had moved in during COVID. So they probably didn't even know the situation. And my joke was that the neighbors are looking out and they're seeing me rake the leaves. and they're seeing me put them in a bundle or a pile, and I'm crying and I'm emotional and I got the snot bubbles, and they're looking at each other like, man, that guy really loves those leaves. Like, he's really attached to those leaves. Look how emotional he's getting putting those leaves in a garbage can. Like, he's really, really attached to those leaves. And again, it was just a stupid bit, but I think it helped me because to bring this all full circle to the beginning of the show, comedy is how I got through this stuff, man. It's how I always get through this stuff, whether it's awkward stuff, traumatic stuff, whatever it is. I had to find comedy through all this. Shout out to Matty Goldberg, good buddy Matty Goldberg. He used to have a bit about that after his dad died. I'm going to mess up his joke, but he had a whole bit about, they say, your dad's always watching you, even though he's not here. And Matty's joke was about his dad watching him while he's looking at porn and jacking off. And it's a funny premise. And the truth is, I would think about that too when I was living in my parents' house. Like, they're seeing everything now that I do. Like, I would think, my dad sometimes would just be, my parents like, yo, really? You just sitting in the basement, just smoking a bowl in our basement, eating pizza, watching a movie? Go do some stuff, you worthless piece of shit. But I had to find comedy through all this, because if you can't, what's the point? Anyway, I feel like I'm ranting. Thanks for the call, Ray. You got me going down different rabbit holes I didn't think I would. Once again, we do have a hotline here at the Andy Ruther Show. I'll put that back up on the screen. 859-935-0078. Again, anything goes for the call. So nothing is too personal for me. I will be fully transparent with you guys. Unlike our government about the drones, I will be honest and open about everything. All right, guys, that is going to be the show for today. Much appreciation to everybody who listens, everybody who watches. We'll be back next week, and we'll do a little Christmas episode. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Much love.